In the parsha it says, "Sisa bigdei kodesh le'aron achicha lechavod l'sifores." So the idea of the bigdei kahuna that the Kohanim wore, the Kohen Hedyot wore 4 garments, and the Kohen Gadol wore an additional 4 garments. It was lechavod l'sifores. So the Meforshim discuss lechavod l'sifores for whom? Is it lechavod l'sifores for the Kohen? So we all know, if we have a nice suit, if we get something that that we think is very nice that we wear, so we feel good about ourselves. In English they say clothes makes the man. Or is l'kavod l'tifaras kaviyachol in the service of kedusha to the Ribono Shel Olam? So then the begodim of the Kohen have to be special, because that's part of the service to the Ribono Shel Olam. It's part of the hakora. So we see that, for instance, with Sifrei Torah, people always makpid to make a nice cover for it. To decorate it with silver, to make a keter. So again, is that the covet for us or the covet for the Torah? And amongst the Sfardim that have the boxes for the Torah, so I have seen boxes that cost close to $100,000. They have gold and they have silver and they have jewels in it. So whose honor is it? The Mefarshim say that is somewhat dependent on the 2 opinions that appear in the Talmud. The Kohanim, are they shluchei dedan or shluchei derachmona? Are they our agents? In other words, we appoint the Kohanim to do the work in the Beis HaMikdash, and we appoint them, we even appoint them to bless us. Or it's shluchei derachmona. The Ribono Shel Olam appointed them. And therefore, it's not that they are our agents, but they're agents of the Ribono Shel Olam. The Gemara has a big discussion about it. So, too, the way we looked at the clothing could be a way of looking at the clothing l'kavod l'siforos of whom? If it's shluchei dedan, so then the clothing is l'kavod l'tiforos for us. We want our representatives to look special. And if we say it's shluchei derachmona, so then the clothing is ordained kaviyachol by the Ribono Shel Olam, so that they would appear to be the shluchim of the Ribono Shel Olam. Now, clothing is therefore very important in Jewish life. In the second Beis HaMikdash, there was no Shemen HaMishcha. One of the things that was missing was the oil that was used to anoint the kings and the Kohanim in the Bayis Rishon. The entire word Mashiach comes from the fact that he was anointed by oil. And that kind of oil, which was a special formula, did not exist in the second Beis HaMikdash. So there are Meforshim that say that the Shemen yet was from the time of Moshe Rabbeinu. And they still had it. But that it was lost in the Churban, and it never was restored, and he never remade the oil. So then how did they install the Kohanim in the second Beis HaMikdash? If there was no oil, so how were they Mashuach, so to speak? So the Gemara says different ideas. One of the ideas is that the begodim, if you put on the garments, that was the installation of the Kohen. In other words, the Kohen Gadol, by wearing the 8 begodim, so then that was sufficient to install him, to be mechanech him, so to speak, to be the Kohen Gadol. The other, the Gemara also mentions avodosa mechanchosa. If you do the work, you serve in the Beis Hamikdash, so that's the chinuch, that's the dedication. But in any event, we see that the begodim came to substitute for the Shemen HaMishcha. And so the begodim had in themselves this quality that it raised the person to a certain level. And it raised him in his own eyes, and certainly in the eyes of the public. And therefore that was the lechavar u'letifares. So from there the custom, the halacha, the minhag, whatever we call it, developed. The Jews have special clothing for Shabbat, and Jews have special clothing for Yom Tov. Big day Shabbat, big day Yom Tov. So again, it's l'chavod u'letifares for whom? For the person that wears it? Maybe not. It's l'chavod u'letifares for Shabbos or for Yom Tov, because that's a declaration that this is a special day. I don't wear the same clothing. So even Jews that were impoverished always had something that was different that they wore for Shabbat. And that was accepted throughout the Jewish world. In our time, things still, it's metushtash a little. It's the lines have been blurred. And one of the things about the society here in Eretz Yisrael is that clothing does not play the role that it does for, let us say, in Great Britain or on Wall Street in the United States, so that people can get up in casual clothing and also perform, and that's accepted in society, and in fact it may even be treasured in society. An interesting, the irony of history is always never to be ignored. So Herzl, in his book called Das Judenstaat, the Jewish state, he wrote a book about what it was going to look like. And so he said that Yerushalayim would be the capital. That he foretold. But he said Yerushalayim would be laid out like Vienna, because that was where he came from. So it would have a Ringstrasse, and he said, and the main buildings in Yerushalayim would be the Opera House, but whatever was in Vienna. But then he said even more. He said in the Jewish parliament, which will meet in Yerushalayim, he said all the members of the parliament will wear formal dress. You have a tuxedo or tails, or a white shirt. I remember, so the first time that I visited the Knesset, I was a guest, so I was struck that somebody got up to speak, one of our distinguished legislators, and he got up to speak in what I thought were his pajamas. And Herzl is looking over his shoulder, because that's the only picture that's there over the rostrum is that of Herzl. So It could be that that is also l'chover u'letiforos. It depends on the society. It depends on the society. And therefore, the ideal of l'chover u'letiforos is what the people think, what the person thinks. And therefore, the garments are for the Kohen. They're not necessarily for anybody else to see. Nevertheless, we have halacha that if the Kohen is mechusar begodim, if he's not wearing the proper clothing, the Kohen Gadol doesn't have the 8 garments on him, or the Kohen Hedjit doesn't have the 4 garments on him. So if he's mechusar begodim, so then avodaso psula. So then what he does in the Beis Hamikdash is not acceptable, because of the fact that it's done in a way. So the Lomdus here is, and the Achronim discuss it, is it because if he's mechusar begodim, he's not a Kohen, and therefore it's possible? Or is it nevertheless he's a Kohen, but because of the fact that he's mechusar begodim, it's not acceptable in heaven, so to speak, because he doesn't follow the protocol? So I, in a conversation that I once had with Dr. Aumann, so he was telling me about the Nobel Prize. He won the Nobel Prize. He was awarded it. So they send you the garment that you have to wear. So he told me the whole story that he had with Shatnez until he got the King of Sweden to agree to let him to cut it open to test for Shatnez. But they send you the garment, right? Because otherwise you're mechusar begodim. It's not the Nobel Prize. If you walk up there, without a tie, you're not, So again, the society determines the level that really is involved in l'kover u'letiforos. Therefore, the Gemara says, Talmidei Chachomim used to wear a certain hat. That was the garment that they wore, was a certain hat. But the Gemara doesn't say anything else about what the other begodim were. And in every place in the exile, Talmidei Chachamim wore different costumes and different clothing, etc. Again, it was all societal. And the Gemara just adds something that should be borne in mind, is that one should be hesitant to wear the garments of a Talmid Chacham, because then you're declaring that you are a Talmid Chacham. So do it without a jacket. Chananya ben Akash Omer Otsa Kodesh Baruch Hu L'Zakos Es Yisrael Leficha Chir B'Lahem Torah Mitzvot Shenemar Arenoi Chavheitz L'man Tzidko Yagdil Torah V'Yadir.